Today's cybersecurity landscape is in a state of disarray. Organizations are struggling to navigate an impossibly complex web of threats, unable to determine which ones actually matter and how prepared they are to defend against them. The traditional approach to cybersecurity is fragmented, attempting to defend against everything, leaving critical gaps in defense, and making it difficult to prioritize and address the most pressing threats. At Interpres, we recognize this fundamental problem in cybersecurity. Organizations lack a comprehensive solution for continuously identifying and prioritizing coverage gaps, tool deficiencies, and misconfigured policies within their defenses. Our answer is the Interpres Threat Exposure Management Platform. Through automation and threat prioritization, we provide a complete solution. Our platform integrates with your existing security tools to assess, optimize, and align your defensive capabilities with the threats that pose the greatest risk to your organization. Let's dive into a campaign within Interpres and conduct a readiness assessment for it. In the campaign's feed, we can see some at-a-glance information about each one, including the number of groups behind the campaign, unique MITRE techniques used, software and malware variants identified, and vulnerabilities leveraged. We can also see if any assets in our environment are affected by those vulnerabilities. Let's take a look at this CISA advisory. As we can see, there are numerous techniques at play, as well as a significant number of potentially vulnerable assets. This is the campaign view within Interpres. Here we can see the relevant threat and defense surface data associated with this campaign. Firstly, the MITRE techniques used in this campaign. Interpres prioritizes these techniques based on your unique threat profile and on your ability to defend against them. Next, we can see the specific vulnerabilities leveraged by the attackers. These are also prioritized based on the amount of assets they affect, vendor scores, and the priority of the techniques they enable for the attacker. Lastly, we can see our detection coverage for the activity seen in the campaign. The process of conducting a campaign readiness assessment within Interpres is as simple as pivoting through the data. By evaluating each aspect of threat involved in the campaign and determining your preparedness for it, you can gain a comprehensive understanding of how effective the reported activity would be against your environment. Let's look at some techniques observed in the campaign to understand our readiness for them. Techniques are categorized as high, medium, or low priority. Expanding the list of high-priority techniques, we can see the specific priority value as well as the amount of content Interpres has detected from your security tools related to this technique. This number is the total amount of telemetry indicators, detections, and controls that affect this technique. High-priority techniques with low content numbers represent gaps that should be evaluated and addressed. Let's determine our readiness against web protocols activity, as it has the lowest content volume for all of the high-priority techniques. This is the technique view within Interpres. From here, we can assess our visibility and detection coverage against this technique. As we can see, we have no visibility data for web protocols, and we can see the categories of what telemetry should be collected in order to enable that visibility. We can also see that we have a decent detection posture for web protocol activity. However, we have 4 disabled detections that, if re-enabled, could enhance our defenses. Additionally, we can see that there are 4 reference detections available for web protocol activity. Interpres collects open source detections and maps them to MITRE ATT&CK, so that you can leverage them to immediately improve your defense surface relative to high-priority threats. We provide a brief description of what the detection is looking for, as well as the detection logic that can be implemented in the relevant security tool. Let's assess our readiness against another technique. For scheduled task activity, we can see that we have great visibility coverage and we are collecting all the relevant data sources. Our detection coverage is lacking though, and as such we can now evaluate enabling some of the disabled detections, or adding in some reference detections. Iterating through the various techniques at play in this campaign to evaluate how well your defensive controls are tuned to detect and mitigate them enables rapid assessment of your defenses against bleeding-edge threats. To round out our readiness assessment, we also need to assess the vulnerabilities used in this campaign. As we can see, 2 do not affect any assets in our environment, but the other affects a large number. Within the vulnerability view, we can see the scoring model for the vulnerability and also examine the asset list. I hope you've enjoyed this overview of conducting readiness assessments using the Interpres platform. Thanks for watching, and to learn more about Interpres and how we can help you, visit www.interpressecurity.com.